My name is Tamara Bredemus. I'm a learning strategist and adoption specialist with Planet Technologies, and we've been brought in by Microsoft to help people adopt FlankSpeed, to learn how to use the tools that are available within FlankSpeed. This is my contact information. Feel free to take a picture or to write down the contact information. If you have any questions after the session, go ahead and drop me an email, give me a call. I love working with people one-on-one. Now, also, if you have questions, you can contact Paula Zuber-Jones, and she can help you with training questions. And this is her contact information. So you can hit her up on Teams or you can drop her an email. Before we get started with the presentation, I just want to take a moment and mention that we now have the Evolve 365 training portal. It is a site that has thousands of training videos that are 1 minute to 3 minutes long on just the topic that you're looking for. So those videos help you move forward with your workday. There's also a calendar that has all of the live classroom trainings that we're going to be doing. And we just scheduled March, so look for those March sessions coming up here real soon. You can get to the site by going to flankspeed.evolvetraining365.com. That slips right off the tongue. And if you haven't been to the site before, you're going to be asked to register. Go ahead and use your Navy email address, but make sure that you make up a password that isn't the same as your FlankSpeed password if you use a password for FlankSpeed. So just make sure it's a password that you can remember. It's not associated with anything, and the password will not change. So go and check out that site. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover an overview of Teams. Then we're going to dive into chats, that one-on-one or one to a small group communication. Then we'll look at Teams, channels, and tabs. Then we'll look at how we can collaborate on files that are stored in Teams and where they go when they are stored in Teams. And then we'll talk about the calendar and the different types of meetings that you can have in a Microsoft Teams environment. Now, if you have any questions, go ahead and use the raise the hand feature to indicate that you have a question, comment, or concern. Or if you don't have a microphone, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'm going to stop periodically to see if there are any questions so that we can answer those questions within the context of the presentation. So what is Microsoft Teams? Well, Microsoft Teams provides a collaborative workspace for you and your team, up to 2,500 people. Now, Microsoft is working on making that a higher number. They're working on making it 25,000, but we don't have an ETA of when that's coming out. So just remember, it's for groups up to 2,500 people. It allows you to create multiple teams, so you're not stuck with just one. So imagine you could have a team for each project that you're working on, and you could have separate channels for each topic within the project, like requirements or budget or issues. And then you have conversations about those topics within those channels. Also, you can organize teams so that all communication can be in one place, including meetings, chats, and posts. You can also work on files together within the Teams application, which means you can do what's called co-authoring. What does that mean? It means multiple people can be in the same file at the same time, and you get a little tag that shows where they are within the file, and you see their changes in real time. So you can do co-authoring so you can get that document or that briefing done much more quickly. And it's a great scheduling feature and syncs with your Outlook, so that you don't have to go two places. You don't have to go to Teams to see your Teams meetings. You don't have to go to Outlook to see just your regular meetings. You can see all the meetings in one place in Teams or all the meetings in one place within Outlook. So the Teams look and feel, we have the navigation pane on the left. That's that purple rail where you see the activity button. Now in your Teams environment, above the activity button is the hub. That is the FlankSpeed hub, and it's just been redone. So it has tons of great information. So if you've been to it before, go to it now, see the big change. and get the information you need to move forward with FlankSpeed. At the top of the environment, you'll see a search panel. That's going to allow you to search everything within Teams. So if you've uploaded a document, it'll search for the document. If you've had a conversation with somebody, it'll search conversations and chats. So it is a very powerful search tool, which has multiple filters so you can narrow down your search results. Now, the list of teams that you have access to are going to be provided in the left-hand pane, and the reading pane is on the right. That's where we're going to read our conversations and our chats. It's very similar to the Outlook interface, where you have your emails going down a panel and you get a preview on the right. So you can chat inside or outside of a team, and you can also do some personalizations using settings and themes. So let's take a look at that. Now you can get to Teams a couple different ways. You have a link on your desktop that you can use to get to Microsoft Teams. You can also go to portal.apps.mil to access Microsoft Teams. Before we dive into the application, let's see if there are any questions about what Teams is. I'm checking the chat. I don't see any questions in the chat. I'm checking to see if anyone has their hands raised. I don't see that anyone has their hands raised. If you do have a question, go ahead and feel free to come off mute and just give me a shout out. All right, let's continue forward then. So we'll hop into the demo environment. And here we are. Notice the activity pane, the chat icon, the Teams link to get to the calendar and to get to files. Again, the search is located at the top. So we can go ahead and say, I'm looking for Rajan or Rajni. Here's Rajni. I click Rajni and it's taking me to the chat that I have going on with Rajni. Now I can also search for a document. And it's going to give me a preview of the document that thinks matches. Or I can hit the enter button and all of my search results are going to show up on the left-hand pane. And I can filter it by messages, people, and files. Now notice this little pyramid, this upside down pyramid. These are additional search features. So if you know what team you are looking for the information in, you can narrow it down to just that team. You can also narrow it down to the file type and who modified it last, who made the last changes. So when you're doing your search, you can narrow down your search results and you can narrow them down further by using these attributes. If we go over to the far right-hand side where your profile is, if we click on the three dots or on the profile, we can get to settings. And settings allows us, if you're going to be staring at this all day, you may want the dark setting or the high contrast setting. You might want high contrast if you're working in a dark environment. The dark setting is great if you're going to be staring at this all day. But for demonstration purposes, I am going to leave it at the default at the light setting so that it's easier to see what I'm doing. Also, you can turn off animations. That's for GIFs. And you can also schedule your out of office directly from here. So if you don't get into your Outlook to get that scheduled, you can do that. Here you can set your privacy and notifications. How do you want to be notified if you're missing activity? Do you want to get an email every hour? As soon as possible. I don't recommend this setting because you just get a ton of emails, but a culmination once an hour. And then also you can set it up for specific things like chat, people, and other things. So doing that by go ahead and clicking the edit icon So again, recent activity, chats, teams. Notice all the teams that I have access to are showing up in this panel. And I can condense these teams by clicking the chevron, or expand them to see the channels that are underneath it by clicking the chevron. Going to the calendar, I'll see all the meetings that I have. This is also synced with my Outlook. And files. One of the neat things about files is you can get to your OneDrive from here. You don't have to leave the Teams environment. So let's go ahead and talk about the activity feed. The activity feed displays all of your colleagues' activities across the Teams channel and chat. This is if it pertains to you, so you don't have to dive into each individual team, each individual project, each individual channel or chat to see what's going on. If you go to your activity pane and you click on the activity, it's going to take you directly to that activity in the reading pane on the far right-hand side and highlight that piece of information in yellow so that you can get right to it. You can also view your most recent activity from all of your teams and filter your activity. Because I have no activities going on in the demo environment, we'll go ahead and skip the demo for that, but let's dive right into chat. Before we dive into chat, let's see if anyone had any questions about the interface or the activity pane. Checking to see if anyone has their hands raised. Nobody has their hands raised. Checking to see if there are any comments. There are no comments. I'll give you just a moment to go ahead and unmute and ask a question if you'd like. Okay, let's continue. So chats, you're going to use the chat tab to connect with individuals or small groups of people. Now, chats are usually off topic from a team or a channel, because if they were on the topic of a team or a channel, then we would be having that conversation within that team or that channel. But chat is a private conversation between you and just the people who you invite and the IT department. Be aware, it's not so private that IT can't get to it. IT can get to it if they need to, but they're probably not going to dive in there. There's too many chats going on. So it is a private place for chats. It is persistent, meaning that the chats don't go away. And you can scroll up and you can see the chats that have happened in the past. This is great if you have important information like decisions were made or links that have been shared or quick and easy access to documents that have been shared. You can do that within your chat. So you can also start meetings from chat, whether it's just a meeting where you're calling each other or you're using video. And you can share your computer screen with each other through these meetings. The one thing you can't do through the meetings, though, that is different than a regular Teams meeting, is you can't record when you're just calling somebody or just doing a video chat. That record option is missing from the drop down when you're doing it from chat. So just be aware of that. If you do want to record it, it does have to be a regular Teams meeting. So let's hop into chat and see how that works. All right, so first thing we do is on the left-hand navigation, we go to the chat bubble. And from here, we can go ahead and start a new chat. To start a new chat, you click on the new chat icon, which is a little piece of paper with a pencil. Click on that and go ahead and enter somebody's name. It's going to look it up in Active Directory and give you the actual contact information for that person within Teams. And down here at the bottom, you can just start typing a message. Now, if you use the A with a pencil, you can actually format that message. So here I can put in, how does the budget look? let me know ASAP. And to make sure that that person sees that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bold it. Now, if I want to make sure, because this is a one-on chat, this person is going to be notified in their activity pane that there is a chat going on right here in Teams. Now, if we have a group chat, so if I go to Rajni, that's a meeting. That is a meeting. So let's go ahead and go to Rajni, and we're going to add another person by clicking on the Add People icon in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and click that, and we're going to add Tanya. I'm going to click Add. Notice that that previous conversation went away. That is a setting in Teams, and depending on how your environment is set up, you're asked if you want them to be able to see the previous chat or not see the previous chat. In this environment, it's set up so that you don't make that choice and that person does not see the previous chat. So now we have 3 people in this chat. And if we click on it, not on the name, let's go ahead and add John. There we go. And now we have a chat between multiple people. We can share a file within this chat. If we do share a file, let's say I share a file, I'm going to choose to upload from my OneDrive. And I'm going to scroll down to the file that I want to share. And what that does is putting it in here, I can also type a message about what I want them to do with the document. And when I hit send, it grants access to this document to John, Rajni, and Tanya. So it is stored in my OneDrive, and they automatically get access to it. So anytime they need to access this document, they can come back to the chat, and they can easily find the document here in the chat. They can also choose to save this message. And if they do, click Save This Message. If you go over to your profile icon and you click on Saved, in the left-hand pane, it's going to save that chat or that conversation. If you click on it, it takes you right to the page with the conversation. So here, if I click on this one, notice it highlighted in yellow what I saved. So I can quickly see what I have saved. If I'm done using that piece of information, I can go ahead and click on the saved icon, and that falls off. So that's how we work with chats. Oh, the other thing that I forgot to mention is that if you want to have a conversation with all of these people, if you click the phone icon or the video icon, what you're going to do is call all 3 of these people through Microsoft Teams into the same meeting environment so that you can all meet right away and have a discussion as opposed to typing. Now, be aware you cannot record this meeting. If you want to record the meeting, you need to schedule a regular Microsoft Teams meeting. All right, let's see if anyone has any questions about chat. Going to the comment section, I don't see anything posted. Checking to see if anybody has their hands raised. I don't see anybody has their hands raised. Let's go back into the presentation. Helps if I hit the right keys. There we go. And now let's talk about Teams, the workhorse section of Microsoft Teams. These are the individual teams within Microsoft Teams. I want to be the person at Microsoft that went, I know what won't be confusing at all. Let's name the subgroups in Microsoft Teams. So there is that. You can create and manage your own teams. So you navigate to the Teams section on the toolbar, and that's going to allow you to create your own team, and I'll show you how to do that. And then you can always adjust who is a member or who is an owner of that team. Remember, everybody who is a member of that team has edit access to all of the documents that are shared within that team. That's edit access to all of the documents. If you want finer control over who has access to do what with which documents or which rows of data, then you want to use SharePoint for your solution and not Teams. You want to use SharePoint, not Teams, if you want to have a finer level of control over who can do what, or if you need an area for more than 2,500 people, because SharePoint will allow you to have up to 2 million members of a SharePoint site. Not a goal, but something you can do. Channels are the subtopics of a team within Microsoft Teams. So let's say we had the Mark 8 project team, and under that we had a budget channel where we discuss all things budget. We have a communications channel, which is where we're planning out the schedule of communications and we're storing all the communications that we're going to send out. Then perhaps we have a requirements channel where we're storing all the files that we're using to gather the requirements or the stories associated with this particular project. So a channel contains posts or conversations, files, and we can add additional functionality by adding tabs to that particular channel. You can also invite a channel to a meeting. Be aware, if you invite a channel to a meeting and you invite other individuals who are not members of that team, those members attending that meeting will not be able to see the chat. They'll only be able to participate in the meeting. So they won't be able to access files that are shared in that meeting or the chat. And that is if they're not a member of the team. Also be aware that if you do invite a channel to a meeting, you're inviting everybody in that team to that meeting, whether or not you want them. So just be aware of that. And then adding tabs. So we've got this Teams location, but let's make it our one-stop shop so that I don't have to go out and search for all the other applications that I need access to get my job done. What we can do is we can click the plus button on the far right side of that screen capture there and add a new tab. Now that new tab could be a OneNote notebook, it could be a link to a website, it could be a link to a document library within SharePoint, or a list within SharePoint, or a planner. So maybe you want to use Planner to track your team's tasks. You can do that and make it available from the tabs at the top of the appropriate channel. And then posts within the channel. This is like chatting only with your entire team. So it's like broadcasting the question that you want to have. So one thing that I did this morning is in our team's environment for the trainers is I said, I know that we have these webinars that have these particular names, but they're really dull names. Let's go ahead and come up with some more descriptive names. And I mentioned the team. I used the @ sign, and then I typed the word team, and it pulled up the name of the team that I was working in so that it would tag everybody with an activity ping so they would know that I had posted this request, that we start renaming our presentations. And already this morning, we've got about 15 suggestions on how to rename our posts. So Posting to the channel is a great way to get feedback from everybody. One thing I recommend is that your leadership or your commander go in and post something once a week that they want to have a discussion about, an article they've read, a change that is coming up, something like that, and then allow staff to reply to the conversation so you can get the pulse of what's going on. You can also do announcements, which stand out a lot more, and I'll show you how to do that. And you can format your conversation using the formatting tool at the top of the message pane. Now, a side-by-side comparison of posts or conversations and chats. A post is part of a team, and all members can view and contribute to that conversation. Files attached within a conversation or a post are stored in the SharePoint library, which is the back end of the Microsoft team that you're working in. Posts have a reply function, so it'll keep all the conversation together in one place, making it easy to read and keep context within that conversation. And ongoing conversations about a project or a team-related topic within the channel stay in the channel. So you can scroll up and you can see the past history. So if you're on vacation, you're trying to catch up, what happened while I was away, go to your activity button and then go to your teams and read the context of the conversations. Now, chats are not part of teams. They are individual, they're private, they're one-on-one or with a small group. Files attached in a chat are stored in the OneDrive of the person who shared that file. Chats, like conversations, are persistent, but there is no reply feature. So it's like texting. You're just doing one on top of the other on top of the other. And the conversations are usually off topic from a team or a channel. Now, before we dive into the Teams portion, let's stop and see if there are any questions. I did hear somebody come off mute. Did you have a question? Comment or concern? Checking the conversation panel. I'm not seeing anything in comments. I'm not seeing anybody with their hands raised. You are really easy to get along with. This is going swimmingly. All right, let's hop back into, yes, did somebody have a question? Okay, let's hop back into a demonstration about Teams. So we'll hop into the demo environment, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on the Teams icon located in the left rail. And from here, the Teams panel opens up and shows me all the teams that I have access to. If I want to create a new team, I go all the way down to the bottom where it says join or create a team. Click on that. Now, if I want to join a team, this is listing all the public teams that are available. And I can join by clicking on it and clicking join team. Also, if I have a code that's been provided by the owner of the team or a member of the team, I can just enter the code. I don't have to search for the team. Notice this little search box in the upper right-hand corner. That's only going to search teams that are available. So if you know the name of the team, it's not showing up here, or there are too many teams showing up, you can search for the team and then you can go ahead and join that team. If you're coming in here and you need to create a new team, let's go ahead and create a new team. You can build it from scratch, which is going to create a Microsoft 365 group for you, or you can create it from an existing Microsoft 365 group. So if you have, let's say you have a project, and the same project team is going to be working on another project. Instead of creating an additional 365 group, use that group that you created when you created the Microsoft team for that project. And now you only have to manage it in one place. We're going to go ahead and build from scratch. Is it private or is it public? think of it this way. What type of information are you going to be sharing in this team? If it's public, it's like leaving it on your desk and walking away. Anyone can come by, join the team, and have access to everything that's on top of your desk. And we're talking edit access here. So if you're storing files, that means anybody within the Navy can join your team and edit your files. Private means the owner has to grant permissions for that person to join the team. This is going to give you more control about who are members of your teams and who can edit the documents that are stored within the team. So I'm going to go ahead and create a private team. Then it's going to ask me for the name of the team, and I'm going to call it the Flora Project. And I'm not going to put in a description, but you can. This is great for the new people who join so they know the purpose of this or the purpose of the Flora project. Then go ahead and click Create. Yay, nice work. Now I can start adding people to this. Remember, it is private, so I'm going to invite Tanya. And notice it makes her a member. If I wanted to, I could switch her to an owner. And I'm going to go ahead and add John. And they'll also get a notification in their activity pane and through email that they have been added to this team. Go ahead and click Close. And now here's the Flora project. Notice that it has one channel. That is the general channel. Every team has a general channel and you cannot delete it. So I would suggest you come up with a purpose for the general channel. And one thing that works really well is if you use the channel, the general channel, for all announcements pertaining to the topic of your team. So in this case, I would want to make an announcement about the Flora project. So to do that, I could go ahead and click Conversation, click the formatting option, and from the new conversation dropdown, I'm going to choose announcement. Now watch how this conversation pane changes. I choose announcement, it puts a big banner at the top. I can change the color of the banner, or I can choose a picture for the banner. And you do have to upload an image. Let's see if I have any images to upload. I don't have any images to upload right now, but you can change the color. So let's make it something a little bit of an emergency. Now let's make it something fun. So we'll put green and we'll put Project Flora kicks off today. And we can put in the subhead. Everyone is ready to go. Kickoff meeting or the Kick-Ogg meeting is scheduled for (9:00). And go ahead and click Send. That pops it up here. We have the reply button. I can go ahead and click in reply and I can say, I am so excited. I can even add a little emoticon. I am so excited, yay. And now we have a whole conversation going. If I have to share a file, I can do that within a conversation or even within a reply. I can also go to the files icon and I can upload files from there. but let's do adding a file from here. So again, start a conversation or do a reply. Click the attachment icon, which is below the conversation pane. Oh, because it is such a new, there we go. Because it is such a new team, it was just giving me a little moment there. Go ahead and scroll down. Go ahead and scroll down. Upload the document. And send. Now everybody in this team has access to it. And if I go to the Files tab up at the top, the document has been added to the Files tab. Now, let's say I have a different topic. I want the budget for the Flora project. So what I can do is I can click on the ellipse or the More Options icon, and I can choose Add a Channel. Clicking Add a Channel is going to ask me for the channel name. I'm going to put Budget. And I'm going to go ahead and click Add. And now I have a place to have conversations about my budget. Now, let's say we wanted to manage the tasks around a budget. What we can do is we can click this plus button right here, and we can add a tab to a planner. Now, if I go ahead and add a plan to this, I can start with a new plan, or if a plan already exists, I can select it from here. I'm going to call it Budget or Flora Budget Tasks. Click Save. It opens up the planner and it shows the tab right at the top. Now, if I go back to the general column or the general channel and I go back to budget, here it is right here. It is persistent. All right, does anyone have any questions about how Teams works? Checking the comments. What does it mean when you make them an owner? When you make somebody an owner, they can grant access to other people and they have full edit to all the documents, just like all the other members. The owner can also do different things in the channel or in the team, I beg your pardon. So if they go to manage team, they can see pending requests. They can see what's going on with each one of the channels. And they can choose whether or not it should show for just you or it should show for the members. You can go into settings and you can set up member permissions, meaning you can set it up so that members cannot create channels or add apps. Set up guest permissions if you invite somebody from the Air Force or the Marines to participate in your team. How do you want @mentions to work? Choose who can @mention the entire team or just the channel. Get the team code. And then fun stuff is where you manage things like emojis, memes, GIFs, stickers, things like that. And then tags. So choose who can manage tags. So as you can see, as an owner, you have a lot more responsibility than a member does. How do you use the circle highlighting tool you're using? I love how you highlight the area you're talking about. It's called Power Toys, and it's something that you can download and use. And then if you click the control button twice, so if I click the control button twice, it does the spotlight. Now, if you're unable to download Power Tools to your computer because you're in a lockdown environment, what you can do is see how I can make a ring appear. You can do that by going into your mouse settings on your computer and setting it up so that when you hit the control key, a ring will appear wherever your mouse is located. Do we have any other questions? I don't see any hands raised. All right, we've got one more in the comment. Oh, good. Somebody else liked the highlighting tool. All right, let's hop back into the presentation and talk about files. So we can create files directly within Teams. We don't have to create it on our desktop application and then upload it. We can create folders, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. We can drag and drop files into the Microsoft team. And we can also use the upload feature if we want to browse for a particular document. Remember, if you share a document within a chat, it's stored in the OneDrive of the person who shared the document. If you share a document in a Teams channel, or you upload it to the Files tab, it is stored in the back end of Microsoft Teams, which is SharePoint. So let's hop in and take a look at file functionality within the environment. So I'm going to go to our budget, and I'm going to go to the Files tab. And from here, I can create a new document from this new dropdown. Clicking the new dropdown allows me to create Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or OneNote. I can also create a new folder. Now, if I go ahead and click Word document, the web version of the document is going to open. So we're in budget, so I'm going to call this the Q1 analysis. And notice it's opening up in the web application, which has a lot lighter editing tool set. If you want the full editing tool set, come to the editing dropdown right here. And you can choose to make any changes, or you can choose to just do review, comments, or suggestions. One of the nice things about using the web application is you can make comments. And if I do a new comment, I can actually do an @mention. Oh, I think first I have to highlight something. So if I highlight something, make a new comment, I can actually @mention the person, and then if I click send, it's going to send an email message to that person with a link directly to this comment, so they don't have to surf through the document or the PowerPoint presentation to find where the comment that pertains to them is. They can go directly to that comment and resolve that issue. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this document, and it saves automatically. So there it is. I can also upload. And again, that's just browsing out and uploading a file. I can also create a new folder to keep organized. All quarters. And then if I want to, I can choose this, and I can choose move. And I can say I want to move it into all quarters, go ahead and move, and that document is moved. I can also drag and drop onto this screen here, and it will upload the document. Now, if you have to get into the SharePoint back end, let's say you wanted to change the view of this, I'm going to upload a document real quick. There it is. There we go. Saying it's uploading. There it is. And then I want to open it up in SharePoint. Now, one of the reasons I might want to open it up in SharePoint is I might want to choose a different view to present to my users in Microsoft Teams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the right-hand column, and I'm going to edit the current view. I'm going to edit the current view because I want to show people that the documents get versioned And they don't have to save documents with the name brochure V2, brochure V3, brochure V86. That's just, let's not do that anymore because we can trust the versioning. So now if I go back here and I refresh, the version number for the document shows up. So people can trust that a new version is being created every time the document is edited, and you can go back and retrieve a previous version just in case somebody goes in there and helps you by making changes. I'm using air quotes there that you can't see. But if they help you, you can go in and undo the help. Does anyone have any questions about files before we move forward? Checking to see if anyone has their hands raised. I'm not seeing anyone with their hands raised. Checking the comments. I'm not seeing any questions and comments. So let's go ahead and proceed. We talked about Planner a little bit. It is a solution for managing your tasks. Be aware, in the Department of Defense environment, so not just Flank Speed, but for like the Air Force, the Marines, the Army, that if you assign somebody a task, they do not get an email notification saying they've been assigned a task. They have to come to Planner and find out that they've been assigned a task. So that's a feature that Microsoft is working on because it works in the commercial environment. It just doesn't work in the DoD or the government clouds environments. So why might you want to use Planner still, even though it doesn't notify people? Is you can use it for managing all of your team's tasks. You can add it as a tab in your team's environment, so it's at your fingertips. And it provides a one place to see progress of a project. You can also create different buckets, so you can use it as kind of a Kanban board by dragging and dropping those tasks into different lanes. Also, another thing that you can add is a OneNote notebook. Now, I prefer this to a wiki. We get a wiki for free when we create a team, but I do not care for the wiki. If you create a OneNote notebook, it's like creating an electronic notebook. Remember when we were in college and we had those notebooks that had those subject dividers in them? That's what a OneNote notebook is. The only difference between the paper version and the electronic version is we can insert images, hyperlinks, videos. We can embed files. We can search across the entire notebook as opposed to leafing through all of that paper. So OneNote is a great tab to add to keep everybody on the same page, literally. So Wiki or OneNote. Wiki is a tab that's included with every channel, and wikis are tied to a specific team and to the specific channel in which they live. Wikis can only be accessed and edited within teams, and wikis cannot be recovered if the tab is removed. However, OneNote can be accessed and edited inside and outside of the team. OneNote can be linked across channels or across multiple teams. OneNote retains version history, and OneNote can be recovered if it's removed as a tab. It's kind of like a standalone application. And we're just creating a bridge to it by adding a tab in Microsoft Teams. Now we've already gone over how to add a tab because we added the Planner tab. So let's move forward and talk about the meetings that we can have in Microsoft Teams. We can have a regular Teams meeting, which we schedule in the calendar, and that can have up to 1,000 people, not a goal. But we can have up to 1,000 people. There is some issue right now in Flank Speed with lag time in meetings. If you have a large number of people that are in a meeting, Microsoft is aware of this and they are working with the Navy team to resolve the issue. Be aware that everybody in a Teams meeting has a microphone, if their computer has a microphone, and they can mute and unmute at will. The question and answer process is really ad hoc, kind of like what we're doing now, where you can raise your hand or you can type in the comments or you can just come off mute and ask your question. And everybody interacts, where with a live event, you can have up to 20,000 attendees. It's more of a broadcast style of presentation, so it's great for like a town hall. Select people interact. That would be the presenters and the producers interact. The attendees can interact if the Q&A is turned on. This allows the members or the attendees of the live event to type their questions into the Q&A, and then the producers and presenters can read those questions aloud and answer them for the whole group, or they can choose to respond directly to the person who asked the question. So again, key differences between Teams meetings and live events. Teams meetings, we can have 1,000 people. Live events, it's 20,000. In a Teams meeting, everybody has a microphone. In a live event, only presenters and producers have microphones. So an overview of Teams meetings, it includes audio, video, and desktop sharing. You can use a scheduling assistant. You can set it up as a recurring meeting. It is synced to your Outlook calendar, and it updates your status automatically. So your presence indicator will show busy if you're scheduled for a meeting. So we can schedule a meeting. We can invite participants. We can use the scheduling assistant to find time that works best for all the people who we've invited. We can invite a channel. And we have a place to put details for the meeting. We have to create the meeting before we can add files, because there has to be something that exists before we can attach something to it. A meeting also has chat. So just like we're in this meeting and we're chatting in the chat bubble, you can have conversations there, ask questions, things like that. So you can join the meeting from the desktop or from the browser. You can join from the invite in Outlook or in Teams. And some of the tips for meetings are it automatically creates a Teams meeting link. And you can do this in Outlook or you can do this in Teams. If you're in Outlook, you just click the button that says Add Teams Meeting. If you are in Teams, it will automatically add a URL once you send the invitation. Again, something has to be created before we can attach anything to it, like the URL or the dial-in information. So we can schedule both from Teams and from Outlook. When scheduling from Outlook online, the location will be blank, but you can go ahead and fill that in. Scheduling from Outlook desktop, it will populate the Microsoft Teams meeting. You can use the option to restrict forwarding. So if you want to have a private meeting and you don't want people inviting other people, you can turn off forwarding. And set the option to add an online option to everyone in the meeting to Outlook Online. And then also set options to decrease meeting time. So you can set it up so that your meeting only runs, say, 50 minutes or 55 minutes. Let's see how we schedule that meeting. Before we do, let's see if there are any questions. How did you undo change? And how do you get to prior versions? Okay, let's hop back in here and let's go to the demo environment. I'll go to the General tab under Flora Project where we have a conversation. To make a change, I'm assuming this is what you want. How do you undo a change? So if I have, oh, you're talking about restoring a previous version. Okay, let's go to the Budget tab and go to Files. I'm going to open this document and I'm going to open it in the app. So it's going to open on my desktop because I hate Excel in the web application with a passion. So it's opening up. Here's the document. I'm going to go ahead and make a change. And I'm going to go ahead and close it. It's going to automatically save that change. And now you'll see if I refresh this, we have version 2. Now let's say that that change was wrong. So I'm going to go back to the 3 dots and I'm going to come down to more. That's going to allow me to check it out. To do version history, let's go into Open in SharePoint. And from here, we can go to the 3 dots. And from here, we can go to version history. This version history pops up, tells you who made the change, when they made the change. And if you click over the date and time, you can either view that previous version, you can restore it where version 1 makes a copy and becomes version 3.0, or you can delete the version. It was so bad you don't want anyone to know that you did it. So I'm going to click Restore. You're about to replace the current version, version 2. With the selected item, I'm going to say OK. Now I have version 3. So now if we go back into this document, that cell that I deleted should be there. So let's go and open this document in the application. Maybe because I have this stored on my personal OneDrive as opposed to the OneDrive in my demo client, that's causing that problem and asking me to sign in. So, but what you would see in your, what you would see in your environment is that cell would come back. So now let's talk about scheduling meetings. So we hop back into here, we go to the calendar. To schedule a meeting, we go into the upper right-hand corner. Now from this drop-down, we can choose schedule a meeting or a live event. Remember, a live event is for 20,000 people. So up to 20,000 people, again, not a goal, but you can go up to 20,000 people. And you would set your producers and presenters. We have a whole hour-long session on just live events coming up next week on Thursday. So let's go ahead and schedule a regular meeting. Here I can invite people. I give it a title. I add the individual people. Here's my scheduling assistant. I'll go ahead and just create a test meeting. I'll invite Rajni. Put in some details. Put in an agenda. Put in what you want to get out of this meeting. Now notice there is no URL, there is no dial-in number, and I forgot to set the date and time, but we'll go ahead and leave that as is. I choose send, Rajni gets a notification, and now when I open this meeting, I have a chat, I have a files tab, I still have the scheduling assistant, and I have meeting notes. Be aware, you have to click on meeting notes to go ahead and turn it on. But you can upload files. This is a little disconcerting because it says share. Really, that should say upload. By uploading, you are sharing the documents with everybody in the meeting, which is why I think they chose share, but I think they could have been a little bit more descriptive there. So that's how you schedule a meeting. So what did we cover? We covered an overview of Teams. We covered chat. We covered the Teams channels and tabs, the files and collaboration that we can do. And we talked about the calendar and the meetings. Again, my name is Tamara Bredimus. This is my contact information. If you need to contact Paula, this is her contact information. Make sure to check out the training portal, which has thousands of videos that are 1 minute to 3 minutes long on just the feature you're looking for. And check out the revamped FlankSpeed Hub. It looks really good. There's a ton of information on it.